One step ahead every day of a
That actually
week,
sounds
but
like fun.
Sunday is feeling like a Monday again.
I can clap too, right?
Hello, Siskiyou. Jay Martin here. I had something kicking around in a direction I've been trying to figure out to do, and I needed some help. And out working on a project for the Scott River Watershed Council, I ran across this gentleman, and I'd like to introduce you, and we're going to tell you about what we're vision and what we got going on. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Shannon Wedgley.
How's it going, world? Pleasure to be here. First and foremost, just a little personal disclaimer. My thoughts, feelings, emotions, ideas are mine and mine alone. I represent nobody, no organization. I'm here standing as a sovereign individual being and speaking my truth. I'm grateful to be here and grateful to be a part of this co-creation.
Let's do it.
So, a little bit about myself. Should I go about the name?
Yeah, you don't have to go too deep.
All right. So, a little bit about
How did Wedge become a nickname?
Okay, gotcha. So a little bit about my name, Shannon. Being raised Shannon, I encountered lots of, let's just say, harsh tones about my name and it being female
They
name.
wouldn't call it feminine, would they? Someone would say that. Oh.
And I grew up in the ghetto of Modesto, surrounded by a bunch of hard knocks, and so it was something that kind of made me feel inferior at times, and so I went very masculine in my life, or at least attempted to do so, and so I got into forestry and worked with a bunch of rough and tough, ready men out in the woods, and over time my last name is actually Wedgley, and so I was starting to be called Wedge as a nickname. And so I picked that up and I ran with that for many years. And it became my identity. I carried myself as the Wedge, actually. It's actually the Wedge. Or if it's this direction, the Wedge.
We'll get that right.
And
Not a yellow wedge, right?
not a yellow wedge.
That's
The
right.
ones that you stick in a tree to help fall trees. And yeah, so about 23, 24 years old, I had a lot of traumatizing experiences happen to me. I got some serious injuries. I had some serious heartbreak, and I completely lost myself. I didn't know who I was anymore. I was no longer the rough and tough Wedge that was out in the woods kicking butt. I was now a broken man, and so I thrusted myself out into the world in basically a spiritual sabbatical to find myself. And I ended up onto the big island of Hawaii, which to me is one of the most beautiful places in the world, and until this day I'm infinitely grateful that that's where my journey took me. And in my travels, I continued to identify myself as Wedge because that was who I was in my past life. And one day, just traveling around and encountering different people, I ended up into a store and I talked to a really wonderful woman. In Hawaii, we call her auntie because of respect and her being an elder. And we got to talking about the journey and where I came from, and she really got to feel and tune into my heart, I feel. And from that, she asked me what my name was, and of course I identified as Wedge because that's what I've been identifying for the last decade or so. And she was kind of taken aback because the tone of it coming out of the being that she had gotten to know seemed to kind of rub her the wrong way. It didn't feel right to her. She looked me deep into my eyes and she says, "No, that's not your name. What's your real name? The name that your mother gave you." And I was like, "You know what? No one ever asked me that. They just kind of go with Wedge." And I said, "Well, my name is Shannon." And she looked at me and she said, "Honey, that's your real name." And she said it with such a passion and she was staring into my soul, staring into my heart. And from that moment forward, I never looked back. I believe that name carries a certain tone. I believe that what you call yourself is how you carry yourself. And so I don't shy from who I am and what my mother called me. And I'm proud to stand on my 2 feet and say, I am Shannon, and I'm Shannon Wedgley. And some people still know me as Wedge, and I love that too. And so I'm not just a single face individual. I have multiple facets of myself, and sometimes I could be soft and sometimes I could be hard, but I'm always being me. And so that's just a little taste of just my name.
So I am super excited when this guy came out of the creek and said, we need to talk. And we had about an hour and a half out in the shivering cold shaking, and we had a great time, learned a lot, and we have a lot of things in common. And we think we can be a real help to Siskiyou County. We want to bring people in, discuss ideas. Ideas, that's it. We're not about criticism, we're about finding ideas, solutions, and being better and building stronger. And I know you're a little more, you got something to add to that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would absolutely support everything that Jay just said. I think that we live in a very divided time, and lots of people they're dying on the hill of opinion, and they're not willing to humble themselves to the person that is part of their community. And so I feel that...
How do we separate fact from fiction? How do we separate news from opinion?
I think the way that we separate fact from opinion, or from fake news to truth and facts, is we got to have a true, grounded, open-hearted conversation where we're actually sitting at a table and we are considering not that people are just having an idea that just came from something that was taught to them, but that everybody has their own life and experience, and that they're able to observe things, and that people are actually intelligent people that all have their best idea. So basically everybody in life is doing the best they can. We just all have a different opinion of what that looks like.
And I am a firm believer that many minds come up with a great solution, and not one mind has all the answers.
Absolutely.
So
we all have
that's
a
where
piece
we're
of the
at.
puzzle.
And we look forward to hearing from you and bringing this forward. And we are going to be the flip side.
The flip side.
One more time.
Okay.
The flip side.
Okay.
We got
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
The flip side. Flip side chats. I love it.